This program was first broadcast on Otago Access Radio and made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
Talk on the Taieri, loving the lifestyle on the Taieri Plain. I'm Regan Horrell, inviting you to join me as I shine a spotlight on the Taieri's personalities, places, events and issues. Talk on the Taieri, Tuesday afternoons at 5 on Otago Access Radio 105.4 FM and 1575 AM and online at www.oar.org.nz. On the Taieri Plain. Hello, Irene.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
So, look, Irene, the Taieri Aquatic Centre. So, what is the Trust's big priority right now? Where are things at? What's the focus?
Okay, at the moment, the Trust is very busy and working on both developing the fundraising campaign and raising the money, but also firming up costings and things to ensure that the budgets we've done in the past will remain current. You'll remember it was December 2014 that the last set of the feasibility study was done that gave us the costings, and there's been more than 2 years passed since then, so it's important that we just ensure we are still on budget. And at this stage we're just looking at the proposals that businesses have given us around costings, and that's purely for the purposes of fundraising. This isn't about going out to tender or anything, just trying to make sure that those prices are what we're trying to achieve is realistic.
Yeah. So the great thing about this project is that the council, the Dunedin City Council, has already committed funding. So just remind us what they've done there. Okay,
so the Dunedin City Council have committed $6 million at this stage. So it's not as much as we'd hoped for the first start, but it's certainly worth having and certainly a good position to be in, because it does allow us to then go for grant money and things. Often you have to have 30-40% already showing of your money before you can apply to anyone else. So that $6 million does give us that.
So let's just talk about that. So if you've got that money essentially set aside, so do you stand a better, quite a high chance of securing that grant funding, or is it?
The likes of lotteries, you can't even apply unless you've got, I think it's 33% of, or it might be 39, I can't remember the figure. But yeah, so certainly it does put us over the threshold for that type of grant application. But there are a number of other things with those applications, like some of them now you have to have a resource consent in place. So we're not at that point yet, and that's why it's important we try and ensure that our budget is correct, and then we raise this $7.5 million. That is what the council have said they want us to do, and then while that's happening, we need to be looking at some of these other things behind the scenes and trying to line up so we can go for some of that $7.5 million from trusts and grant organisation.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but the council wanted you to, I guess, commit to that $7.5 million by the end of March next year?
We really do need to be able to show that we're well on the way by the 31st of March 2018. It will go before council in the annual plan, so end of May, early June next year. So that really is our deadline. If we're serious as a community about wanting this 4-pool facility, we need to be able to show that the monetary support is out there.
Right. So $7.5 million. I guess lots of people would just naturally say, well, how are we going to raise that? We're only a small community. Come on, Irene, that's just out of reach. How are we going to raise $7.5 million?
Lots of hard work. There's sort of a formula that you do on a big capital fundraising campaign like this to work out where the funds come from. So of that $7.5 million, the homework we've done would suggest that probably around $3 million should be able to come in from trusts and grant organisation and that type of funding. We can't ever guarantee that until we get the acceptance letter in the mail, but you can sort of work out the type of project it is, the level of people that it supports. Remembering we're expecting 200,000 people a year to come through the doors of this pool, and that's an estimate that's probably on the low side. We've based that on 6.5 swims per year per head of population in the 10-minute circle of Mosgiel catchment, we've now got statistics from Ashburton. They're averaging over 12 swims per head of population per year. So
you've gone really conservative.
Well, we've gone middle of the road. Low would be 3, high would be 8, but Ashburton have, excuse the pun, blown it out of the water, and it's proven very popular. So there's those sort of statistics that we're using to prove the benefit, and there is no doubt this is a benefit not just to everyone on the Taieri but the whole city, because we all know Moana Pool is overloaded. Parking's difficult. People are telling us that you can't get book time. So if we can have another facility for the city out on the Taieri, that is going to free up some of the space at Moana Pool and ensure a longer life for that facility too.
That's a key point, isn't it? It's a new pool for the city, which just happens to be out on the Taieri.
Yeah, Mosgiel's part of the city. We're not standalone. So we're hoping that will help as well, and that also people within the whole city will see why it would be good if they got behind this financially. So that's part of it, the grants. You do what we call targeted giving, where we talk to people one-on-one and work out how they would like to be part of the project. That's not everyone. There won't be door knocking. And I was thinking, these days where you get worried about security and things, we need to ensure people know we will not be knocking on doors for funds. We will be doing a range of fundraising events and activities. There will probably be an envelope drop so that every home in the area has the opportunity to give, because that's important. We can't get round everyone, but there's the opportunity there. We have our website, and that's now up and running with a donation portal off it. It's poolingtogether.org.nz, and we went live on Saturday and had 2 donations Saturday afternoons. That was nice just to know that people were seeing it and taking part. And then there's also the possibility for sponsorship and business partnerships within the facility.
Yeah, sure. That's a great idea, and that's something that I guess the wider community can be part of.
Yeah, that's right. So if somebody's listening and has a business that they'd love to be able to promote to 200,000 people of all ages throughout the city of Dunedin, then it may be that some sort of partnership would be ideal. But the way to do that is through talking to people that we know and discussing and working on it. It's not just, putting an ad up somewhere.
Excellent. I'm talking to Irene Mosley. She's the chair of the Taieri Community Facilities Trust about the Taieri Aquatic Centre. We're just going to take a very short break, and we're going to come back and talk about the site and any issues with the caravan park and a few other issues, but that's coming up on Talk on the Taieri on Otago Access Radio 105.4 FM. It's 9 minutes after 5. You're listening to Talk on the Taieri on Otago Access Radio. Joining me in the studio tonight is Irene Mosley. She's the chair of the Taieri Community Facilities Trust, and we're talking about the Taieri Aquatic Centre. Irene, now people need to know the site has been selected. Just refresh people's memory if maybe they don't even know.
Okay, so the site that has been decided on by Dunedin City Council is the site adjacent to the current pool. So if you're familiar with the area, the current pool is just off Gordon Road at the end of Memorial Park. Our hope is that we'll be able to keep that pool open during the build process, but that'll be dependent on lots of things beyond our control. We're hoping it can be fenced off and still utilised, and then the new pool will be built on what is currently the caravan park space. And DCC and the leaseholder of the caravan park are in discussions about how that will be relocated or, turned so that it adds on beyond where the pool is going to be. So again, that's something that we don't have any say in. It's between those two parties. Yeah,
that'll be a council issue and the leasee issue for sure. Now, the Mosgiel Soccer Club, they had raised some concerns publicly about the site. What's the state of play there?
Again, that's a DCC issue, and I understand that the staff are meant to be working with the football club to work through that and find some resolution. They have said publicly that they're keen to work with the club and find solutions, so that again is up to them to sort out.
Absolutely. Now you must know there must be a huge groundswell of support. I think you already know that for this project, but it's getting to the critical point now, isn't it? We're turning the enthusiasm and excitement for a project like this into, well, I guess it's really putting your money where your mouth is.
Yep, hard cash. That's what it is. We have got phenomenal support. We know by the comments on Facebook, we know by the comments in the community. I mean, it's something that we've realised because we're living and breathing this every single day, you tend to forget that other people sort of aren't up to speed. So we're going to do another whole round of getting people up to speed with the information that's out there. We're having some special meetings for targeted parts of the community that need to know what's going on. We're aiming to have a public meeting the first week in August, and we've said for quite a while we'll have a public meeting, but now the time has come. We really do need to do that, and we're just working on booking a venue and getting that word out now.
So what do you want to achieve with the public meeting?
We just want people to come along and hear what's going on, have a chance to ask questions with the people there so they get it straight from the horse's mouth rather than the donkey in the paddock next door, which can happen in communities. It's important they have the right information. We'll want to encourage people to step up and get involved, helping with fundraising or helping with the other things we need to be doing. And we also want people to give. So when you do the sums, if there's 30,000 people within a 10-minute radius of that facility, if every one of those people gave $100, and I know that's a generalisation, but if we could get that sort of money off everybody as an average, then we've got $3 million, and that puts us a long way towards it. Even consider an automatic payment of $2 a week in the course of a year. That's over $100 donation, and that's considerable and probably manageable for a lot of people. We've already had considerable donations, people who have done well in the community and want to acknowledge that, have been very generous. We've had donations of 10, 15, 30,000 come in, and that's huge, and it shows the level of support that's out there, and we need to encourage other people to step up like that as well.
Yeah, that's staggering. And one of the things too is the trust is a charitable organisation?
It's a registered charitable trust with donee status. So that means that anyone who understands the donation system in New Zealand, if you give a donation, then after the 31st of March, the year that you give the donation, you can apply for what they call a tax credit, which is basically money back into your account for a third of what you've given, as long as you meet the criteria, and it's just around your earnings for the year.
Right. So it's another incentive, isn't it?
Yeah, well, basically people are saying, well, why isn't the government paying for this pool? We've got drowning rates going through the roof. A good way to ensure that the government does pay for some of this facility is by giving yourselves, because then a third of what you give is basically covered by the government.
And in essence, they probably would pay for a third of your donation. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Good point. So another thing too is really encouraging people to give and to donate for obvious reasons. What sort of, are there plans in the pipeline to have some sort of visual indicator of how the tally's going or the donations?
The likes of the town barometer is fraught with potential problems because all you need is a bit of a hiccup where you don't get any money in for a while and it looks like it's never going to happen. We've probably all driven through towns where there's this dusty old barometer that never seems to change. So we don't want that to happen. This needs to happen fairly quickly. We have got ideas of how we'll be able to keep the community informed and watch this space probably in 4 months' time, and we might be ready for that. But we will be wanting to keep the community informed, and it will build to a crescendo in March, because by March it's going to be help. We've really got to get there, and we'll be looking to get that support ramped up to another stage.
Absolutely. And just to finish, there have been some community groups who have already pitched in, haven't there? Yeah,
that's right. We've had 25,500 from the Mosgiel Rotary Club already, and that's fantastic. As well as that, several of the fundraising team are from that club, and they've committed pretty much, that they'll try and get another 25,000 in the next 12 months to support us. We've got Taieri Rotary Club and combined with Taieri Lions, and they've given 15,000 from their promotion this year. We've had the local Inner Wheels ladies stepped up, and the Taieri Community Taieri Women's Issues Group, and they both gave donations of $500. And it's all those things. $1.50 of someone's pocket money is just as valuable as the big donations, because it's about the power to give and where you're able to.
And of course, other community groups, I guess that's a bit of an indicator or an encouragement for them that if they wanted to do fundraising for the pool, obviously the Trust would say, go for it.
Yeah, it would be good if they touch base with us just so we know what's happening out there. And again, that's a bit of a security thing. You would like to be able to give them some of our official leaflets and our business cards and things so that people know that they are verified fundraising for us. And it's, not that we want to control things, but we would just like to know who's out there doing what so we can ensure that that money that people give in good faith goes where it needs to go.
Absolutely. And just to finish, I think it's important that listeners and people know this, that every single person on the Taieri Community Facilities Trust is a volunteer.
Yep, that's right. There's no one is paid on that trust.
I would shudder to think how many hours the volunteers have put in, including yourself, because this is not your job.
No, it's my volunteer input. And I probably spend 15-20 hours a week on this. Yeah. So it is big, but it's worth it because the community will benefit and will get the pleasure of seeing it come to fruition. But you're right, there's days where it gets a bit onerous because you do have to fit in your home life and your day job as well.
Yeah, so I encourage people that we've got an amazing group of volunteers, really passionate and keen to see this. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Irene, the Trust is aiming for togs on November 2019?
Yes, and it's not that far away. We're only 6 months till, just over 6 months till 2018, and a build of this size will take 12 to 18 months. So you can see we need to have that space, but it'll come around very quickly.
So 12 to 18 months, what would we look at if, obviously, the fundraising is key, so actually seeing some earthworks turn, when would you envisage all going to plan?
Probably July, August next year.
Yeah, excellent. Irene Mosley, Chair of the Taieri Community Facilities Trust, absolutely wonderful to have you on the show and update the community on where the Taieri Aquatic Centre is at.
Always happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.